Shouts out. New run the jewels, new run the jewels, jewels, new run the jewels, new run the jewels, jewels, new run the jewels, new run the jewels, jewels, new run the jewels, new run the jewels, jewels. Yes, I have long time been a big fan of the duo of LP and Killer Mike, also known as Run the Jewels. I actually have a sticker from a CD I own of Run the Jewels 2 taped to the back of this laptop, of which I am filming and making this video on. So I myself was very excited for this record, but I see no reason for other people not to be, considering the shriek of classic, amazing, forward-thinking, well-written and produced, and politically charged hip-hop records that Run the Jewels has produced, from Run the Jewels 1, 2, 3, and now 4. And what's really incredible about this record is that it seems like Run the Jewels has taken elements from all of their records, specifically Run the Jewels 2 and 3, and now they kind of have polished it, modernized it a bit, kind of went through and picked apart the pieces that I think could have been improved upon, although their music was already great. They picked apart the pieces of it that could have been improved upon, and now we have a fantastic album as a result. But what's interesting too is that despite this album being similar to past records, it's also their funkiest, which Run the Jewels has never particularly been a very funky rap duo. But I suppose this was expected with their single Ooh La La featuring DJ Premier and Greg Nice. I love this song. The bass line and beat is extremely funky. The flows on it are very dynamic. It seems like Killer Mike and LP are putting forth a lot more personality in this song. It's not as aggressive as songs from Run the Jewels 2. It's not as political as songs from Run the Jewels 3. This one just kind of is a funky banger. But believe me, they still had a lot of great lyrical moments on it despite that. Like Killer Mike's second verse, which he does get a bit political on. For a brief moment, he says, first of all, fuck the fucking law, we is fucking raw, steak tartare, oysters on the half-shell sushi bar, life a bitch, and the pussy fish, still fucked her raw, I'm a dog, I'm a dirty dog. He laughs for a bit. He says, old dirty bastard, go in your jaw, shimmy shimmy yow, which is a reference to an old dirty bastard song, being a member of Wu-Tang Clan, and later says, got the semi in the hemi, go me, gimme, ya. There's a lot of references to like old school hip hop. There's a lot of good like imagery within these lyrics too. In LP's first verse, he's saying, fully dressed at the crack of dawn, weapons letting off. I can hear them from the block, see them creeping through the fog. Season's greeting, now we're feeding, season can start. Oh my God, look alive. Looking like I live life on a crooked line, doing fine, you want maximum stupid, I am the guy. Like, there's also a lot of excellent inner rhymes and kind of double entendres or double meanings to certain words and flows within different tracks on this album. But I think the highlight of this track is the catchy ass ooh la la ah wee wee that you hear throughout it, with Greg Nice and DJ Premier on the scratches. It's an incredible hook. I cannot get it out of my head for the life of me. The song immediately following this is also very funky, the track Out of Sight, which features 2 Chainz, which to some was a bit of a surprise, but I think that at this point, although 2 Chainz is more mainstream than Run the Jewels, Run the Jewels has really accomplished blurring the lines of being mainstream and underground at the same time somehow. This track features, like, I'm not even sure if it's some kind of vocal sample that was chopped up and has all kinds of effects layered throughout it, but it sounds almost like someone burping with reverbs or vocal pitches throughout it to fit the melody of the track. It really is a very funky but also intense instrumental. The flow on this is insane. They go on this effortlessly with some flows that I haven't heard from Run the Jewels before. It's really impressive how catchy it is compared to the beat. There's obviously great chemistry between Killer Mike and LP, but even 2 Chainz seems to have good chemistry with the artist and fits on the beat pretty well. I think my favorite line in this from Killer Mike is, bitch, we cool as penguin pussy on the Polar Cap Peninsula. Like, so many alliterations throughout this record. I think it just allows them to flow better on the tracks when they include those alliterations and inner rhymes within a verse. Even 2 Chains comes through with some good lines like "I'm cool as AC, you just wanna bees." He says, "I came from a dream, triple beam, and some great tape. I buy a hot dog stand if I'm trying to be frank." Yeah, it's very funny. It's very clever. I feel like 2 Chains knew exactly what to do with Run the Jewels track here, and the results are fantastic. It's a banger. It's definitely a banger. But despite some of these funky songs, there's even a few tracks on here that kind of have the hardcore grit and aggression that we would hear from a Run the Jewels instrumental or from Run the Jewels lyrics when they get political and angry and enraged about our society, which at this time is a very good time to hear that considering the chaos in the United States right now with everything happening. Like we saw that with the other single from this, Yankee and the Brave, which is the intro of this. Killer Mike gets very aggressive and very personal and emotional about his run-ins with the laws and what he thinks about law enforcement and how they treat people of color in the United States. In his fourth verse, Killer Mike says, "I got 1 round left. 100 cops outside. I could shoot at them or put one between my eyes. Choose the later, it don't matter, it ain't suicide. And if the news says it was, that was a goddamn lie. I can't let the pigs kill me, I got too much pride. And I meant it when I said it'd never take me alive." I think that that's just like a perfect highlight of how a lot of people, especially people of color, people supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, feel about the current state of law enforcement. Killer Mike manages to do an incredible job at highlighting the emotions and feelings of this in an aggressive way in this verse here. The drums on this beat are hard as fuck. As always, LP is really stepping up his production game. The rhymes are excellent. Like on the first verse, Killer Mike says, "Back at it like a crack addict with black." I'm sorry. "Back at it like a crack addict, Mr. Black Magic, crack a bitch back, chiropractic craftmatic." And LP kind of does a similar thing with his verse where he says, "Stack attack, a Mac with the blackest fabric on back. Matter of fact, kiss the ass and even the crack. Automatic facts just like that, rat-a-tat." And, you know, there are a lot of rappers, so I feel like we'll do this rapidy flow where like shoobity bobbity boo, doobity bobbity ba. Like a lot of people say Eminem or Logic have done that recently, but I feel like at least with Killer Mike and LP, there's kind of a reason to the rhyme, you know, or rhyme to the reason for that matter. Like I feel like they're actually saying something political, something intriguing, something emotional or interesting within their lyrics, within these very intricate rhyme schemes. For me, Holy Camel Fuck is another track with, I think, another highlight for LP's production abilities because there's an excellent, very smooth beat change where you hear, I'm not sure if it's Killer Mike or someone else, just screaming in the background. It's kind of reverberated and echoed, then it goes into a much smoother beat than the first half of the song. The first half is a bit choppier, but I found both beats to be fantastic. Both beats are excellent. Killer Mike and LP get political once again, saying the law to fire, the non-complier, the deaf to fire, the Mike Myers, murder rapper for hire. Like, not only is this album and this song very political, but also it's intelligent and it's, once again, Run the Jewels displaying some rap braggadocio, but in the most clever, intellectual way, and in a very technically skilled way as well through many tracks here. Some good pop culture references too, like Killer Mike is saying Clock Orange Madness, left the scene laughing. As a fan of that movie, I found this to be pretty funny and a pretty interesting reference. They kind of call out the new school too with this lyric, "A, as a teen lacking, I would have ran me a Supreme racket. I would have took these lame Supreme jacket." Oh my god, bars. There's this nice little section of LP's verse where he says, "I'll kill the mood, I'm a rudeness MacGyver. I'll slap a yapper from the acne to the tooth bone fiber. I'm liver, thought crime designer, criminal minder." Like lyrically, everything on this album is so intense, has such vivid descriptions, has such clever wordplay, but yet it's all written in such a way where it flows so smoothly with all the inner rhymes or alliterations that they put in their lyrics. Goonies vs. E.T. is a bit smoother of a cut. It features some low vocals from LP in the intro. Once again, some amazing lyrics throughout the verses. It's a bit shorter than the other ones. It's not as expanded as many of the tracks here, but it does feature a very low-key, nice bass line from LP. I really like the sound of this track a lot. Walking in the Snow features some very muddy guitar samples throughout the beat. It sounds excellent. It's back to that gritty, aggressive, kind of punk rock atmosphere that we can sometimes hear Run the Jewels on a record like Run the Jewels 2. This one also has a hook from Gangster Boo. It was great to hear her on a Run the Jewels track again, especially because she wasn't credited as a feature, so it was a nice little surprise to throw in. She talks a bit of shit referencing her first song with Run the Jewels. It's just good to hear Gangster Boo back on this, and she does a great job on the track. LP2 sounds very charismatic here. I will say I think both LP and Killer Mike, but especially LP, sound much more charismatic throughout every track of this album. And even production-wise, LP has improved too. Like there's these chants of going, hey, hey, in the background of this beat, and it's such a little addition, but it just adds to the hype of this song. I'd say this is one of the best bangers on the entire project. Of course, falling just behind the next track, Just, which is my favorite on the entire project. I mean, everything from Pharrell sounding all smooth and charismatic on this pre-chorus saying mastered economics because you took yourself from squalor, mastered academics because your grades say you a scholar, mastered Instagram because you can instigate a follower. Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. My God, he really just picked apart society with that fucking pre-chorus. And then following that, we have Killer Mike repeating this refrain of, look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. It's very blunt. It's a very bold statement. It's a very true statement. And it's so catchy all at the same time. It's great to hear Zach De La Rocha also at the end of this going, look at all these slave masters, like screaming it so boldly as he would on a Rage Against the Machine song. It's kind of a surprise, but I loved it. I think it really made for the hook, made it transition into these verses very well. There's a bunch of little things about this track that I like. The beat is very funky. It really sounds like a Pharrell kind of beat, like something Nerd would hop on. It's very smooth despite the aggressive topic, picking apart society within this track. But also, there's some sections where we can hear Pharrell's vocals kind of humming in the background very faintly. It's a bit eerie, but it does add to the funk element of it, as spooky and kind of mysterious as it sounds. I love this Killer Mike verse at the start with the flow. He says, business time, I'm on mine, I be minding mine. Make money every time I'm on grind, I'm just trying to shine. Make a dollar, government, they want it, doesn't dimes. It's a very catchy flow. It's not as intense as we're used to from him, but when you look at what the lyrics are saying and what they're kind of referencing as the government taking his money, you can see that it still has that political aggression and grit that we like to hear from Run the Jewels. The Zach De La Rocha feature on this is incredible. I think it's actually better than the one on Close Your Eyes from Run the Jewels 2. He starts it by saying, 2020, run the map, raw, I'm uncut in my hourglass, don't watch it spill to the bottom half, you see the piece, now run it fast. On the Terra Mac, I'm a starter jack. Like, there's just so many good rhymes throughout this thing, so many good references. It's so political. I like at the very end where he says, for you it's just money. Before that, he's saying, so I'm questioning this quest for things as a recipe for early death threatening, but the breath in me is weaponry, for you it's just money. And I like that echoed out scream ends the track so amazing. This is like the perfect Run the Jewels song, in my opinion. I don't know how they're going to top this thing, to be honest with you. Never Look Back was a song that, although I like the arpeggiated synths throughout it, I like all the instruments within the beat. I thought LP did a good job with this one. I find that it's a bit slower, doesn't have as much build-up as the other songs here. I wish that, I guess he added a bit more to this, but I wouldn't say it's a bad track. I wouldn't say it's one worth skipping. There's a lot of lyrical references to their past, but how they're never looking back and looking forward. So it still fits in the album pretty well. I just think that compared to the rest, it's not as great, but still a good track. I think it's saying a lot about an album where a track that's of this quality actually isn't as good compared to the track list of the rest of the album. I think that's saying that this is a really fucking fantastic album, if you ask me. Next track, by comparison, is actually one of the most aggressive ones. We're once again seeing some heavy guitars in this beat. It is back to the gritty punk style of Run the Jewels, and it's fantastic. LP's verse here is one of my favorites, where he says, born from the ether, just appeared out of cloud of reefer, screaming, fuck the world, it can drink what's coming out of my urethra. I'll slap a dying child, he don't pronounce my name correct. It's insane how aggressive this song is, but it's braggadocious at the same time. I found that the last two songs, Pulling the Pin and A Few Words from the Firing Squad, are both actually one of the sadder Run the Jewels songs I heard. Um, I mean, the beat is very subdued, but once again, excellent production work from LP. This feature from Mavis Staples on the chorus, it sounds so dismal, so distressed. It sounds as if she's looking at the end of the world as she says, "There's a grenade in my heart, and the pin is in their palm." It's really chilling to hear. It gives you chills. It's very heart wrenching. It's kind of cynical too, like in LP's verse where he says, "You will not travel towards the light if they're in charge of your departure. You'd think the universe forgot us the way they pitched their product, as though our spirit's not a fire that can't be snuffed or turned to dollars." It's so cynical. And at the end he says, "Wanna walk, man, to the coffin lid, eat your heart out, fiction fan. Truly the truth's the stranger document." And I think as cynical as it is, it's also political in pointing out the flaws of our society, and I guess the way that it could cause people to be depressed in a way. Killer Mike gets really emotional in this, saying, "My pastors say God has promised us paradise. Live a good life, it is pivotal. I promised my mama I would stay honest, but I want it all in the physical. The devils, they do the despicable, and still they move like they invincible. These filthy criminals sit at the pinnacle, doing the typical, keeping us miserable." It really sounds like, I've never heard Killer Mike or LP this sad and depressed before, but I've also never heard them be more honest and vulnerable. It's a fantastic song. I really like A Few Words from the Firing Squad as well. It's also a very vulnerable track throughout the lyrics. It builds up very nicely. There's these bouncy piano synths that are a bit staccato in the rhythm, but they build up very nicely throughout it. There's also some saxophone solos to add a jazz rap element into this, and I feel like it really helps the track progress. It's an excellent outro. I also like at the end where they're saying Yankee and the Brave. I find it's very fitting considering the start of this track, the start of this album. The first song was called Yankee and the Brave. Very, very fitting outro to an amazing album. I really don't have anything to complain about. This album is fantastic. I think it's Run the Jewels' best. I think they really somehow outdid themselves, and I'm thoroughly impressed. I plan on bumping this in my car for years to come. I'm legitimately feeling 5 out of 5 little horseshoe crabs. Yeah, this is my buddy. His name is his name is Kiwi. He's a horseshoe crab with a top hat. If you guys want to see him, he's my friend and my pet that I have. I swear I'm not insane. But yeah, this album is that great. It's amazing. I mean, I really think this will stand out for years to come, and I'm glad it came at a time like this where things are getting very politically, socially, emotionally heated in the country. I think the timing is excellent for this Run the Jewels record. Thank you guys for listening, watching, and check out some more videos by me. Thank you.